I have a different take on how this war began, and it's important to understand how it began because that holds the key to how this war ends. 10 years ago, I agree this war began, but I think it began on much different terms. 10 years ago, there was a coup in Ukraine. There was a democratically elected president, Yanukovych. He was overthrown. He was corrupt. There were many people protesting him, but the fact was he was democratically elected. He was overthrown. The leaders of the coup were members of far-right groups, including Right Sector and Svoboda, who the European Parliament 1 year earlier had condemned for anti-Semitic xenophobic views. They received top cabinet posts in the ensuing coup government. The U.S. played a really dangerous role by backing this coup. Victoria Nuland, a top U.S. official, was caught on tape plotting who would be the next leader of Ukraine. The new coup government then waged assaults on the ethnic Russians of eastern Ukraine. One of their first moves was to try to ban the Russian language. In response, you had Eastern Ukrainians rise up, and yes, Russia did see.
I'm sorry.
Russia, hold on a second. I didn't interrupt you. I didn't interrupt you.
One second. Let's see. We'll bring you back in. I'll give you a chance to respond.
Russia did seize Crimea, which, by the way, a lot of the population did support joining Russia, as Ukrainian officials admitted at the time. Then there was a peace process. There was something called the Minsk II Accords. The basic bargain was that Ukraine was going to recognize the autonomy of eastern Ukraine, and the fighting would stop. Ukraine, under the pressure of the same far-right nationalists who drove the coup, refused to implement Minsk, which led to, ultimately, Russia deciding to invade. I don't support Russia's invasion, but you have to recognize that from the start, there were opportunities to avoid that invasion by respecting the Minsk Accords. Afterwards, there was a peace deal reached in Turkey in April 2022, weeks into the war. We all know this from multiple officials, NATO officials, Ukrainian officials. There was a deal reached between Ukraine and Russia, but Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of the UK, stepped in and said to Ukraine, we're not going to back you up if you make a peace deal with Russia. You should keep fighting. And that, I think, has led us to where we are today.